What is the relationship between hearing loss and dementia? Hearing loss in the elderly is associated with an accelerated reduction in cognitive ability and a 2 to 5 times higher risk for the development of dementia. Although the relationship between the two conditions has been proven, the cause is still unknown. How many times have we asked ourselves if our relative did not understand us because he was deaf or because dementia prevented him from doing so? However, what happened to our loved one was not the result of an unfortunate coincidence, but of the fact that both conditions were connected. Research reveals that dementia and hearing loss were common among the elderly. Experts recommend people to have healthy lifestyle habits, not to be exposed to high noise levels and to visit the specialist immediately in case of suspicion of hearing loss. Access to effective treatment in a timely manner can avoid the negative consequences of presbycusis that affect the patient and the whole family circle. Progressive hearing loss, presbycusis, affects more than 30% of adults over the age of 65 and, according to scientific evidence, is related to the reduction in cognitive ability of the sufferer. Although genetically variable, presbycusis is a normal symptom of aging and is associated with progressive degeneration of sensory cells in the ear, unlike hearing loss caused by exposure to noise, toxins or pathogens. Presbycusis can appear from the age of 45 or 50 and there are medical problems related to it, such as blood pressure or diabetes. Presbycusis affects all older adults to a different degree, depending on their genetic traits and the environment in which they live. Those people who have proper hearing hygiene, do not suffer from inherited or acquired pathologies, and are not exposed to constant high noise levels, will have less noticeable hearing loss than those who do. In addition to the risk of alterations in body balance, which makes the elderly patient more vulnerable to accidents, presbycusis has a high impact on quality of life because it is related to depression, decreased social activity, communication problems and other memory alterations, limiting the autonomy of the person who suffers from it. Listening and speech skills are related to cognitive capacity because they constantly exercise the brain, therefore, when hearing is affected this capacity can be reduced. Different clinical studies have shown that hearing rehabilitation with cochlear implants and other hearing aids in older adults with different degrees of hearing loss leads to improvements in terms of cognitive performance, depression and social isolation. Similarly, it is vital to provide the patient with access to lip facial reading skills as a complement to improve oral language comprehension and to continuously advise the family in order to educate them about the condition of the older adult. The main characteristic of presbycusis is the decrease in discrimination of the word or problem to identify what another person is saying. However, the World Health Organization and specialists establish other signs to detect that an older adult is losing hearing in old age: inability to hear high frequencies, such as high-pitched sounds, lack of location of sound sources, or places where sounds emitted by people or things come from, asking people to repeat what they have said, turning up the volume of devices such as radios or televisions higher than usual, get lost in part of the conversations. Hearing a kind of ringing in the ear, tinnitus, speaking louder than usual. If any of these signals are present, the patient should go to a specialist for the necessary tests that will give an accurate diagnosis of the condition. The first study is a formal hearing test using tonal audiometry to measure the hearing of both ears separately, and the second is speech audiometry, which measures the ability to understand the words spoken to the patient. These two procedures determine the type and characteristics of the hearing impairment, to confirm or rule out presbycusis. Although hearing loss in old age is irreversible because it is caused by the degeneration of the sensory cells of aging, it can be effectively treated with various hearing aids such as cochlear implants, which restore the ability to hear in full, and hearing aids, depending on the degree of presbycusis present. It is very important for people to see a specialist more regularly from the age of 45 onwards and to maintain good hearing hygiene to prevent hearing loss. It is important to have your ears checked regularly. And yet, it's not something you do routinely. At checkups, you usually do tests, you take your blood pressure, you monitor your weight, but you don't usually do an otoscopic. However, the existence of simple earplugs can be the cause of deafness, and our family member has lost interest in watching TV, chatting with the family, and even does not want to talk on the phone.